So we are here in Australia on the Spark Joy podcast this week, and I am sitting next to the most beautiful swimming pool. It's a saltwater pool, and you can probably hear some birds outside, but I thought it would be quite fun to record this outside here. And what I'm going to be speaking to you about today is actually about creating idea babies. And the way you do that is that you release what's inside of you. So I'm sitting next to water right now, and I want you to think about a hose, like there's a hose over here. And if you were to turn on the hose or a tap, what would come out of the tap? And so you would hope it would be water. And so all of us, we have, an input, and then we also have an output. And so I want you to think about, what is your output? If you were to output something from what's been going in, what would come out? What would be the flavor of the water when you turn on that tap or you turn on that hose? And so me faithfully sitting down here today in front of this, for the Spark Joy podcast, is to unleash and to release what is within my vessel, within my hose, my tap. And, I'm very, very interested in actually helping emerging leaders or people that are already in some form of leadership, whether, they're leading their business, or they could even be leading within their career and employment, but they're interested to translate that and pull those threads through into their own personal thought leadership, their own body of work that would stand the test of time, that would stand alone outside, a brand or outside some other structure. They would be recognizing that for however long that they've been here on earth, that there has been inputs going into them. So they have been, either, they've had leaders, they've had mentors that, for me personally, I've read a lot of the scripture. I spend a lot of time with God, and so I have had a lot of input within me. I have been filled up with a lot of spiritual knowledge. I've been filled up with a lot of business knowledge, and I want you to recognize that you absolutely have got inputs. There have been inputs going in today. You probably listened to a song, or maybe, you learned something at work, or you revisited an idea, something that you've learnt before, and you did it. So all these inputs are in you, but where have you been outputting it? Have you turned on your tap? And do you recognize the flavor of your water when it comes out? And so, when we think about different leaders who, have like incredible brands or businesses, or they've created some kind of incredible transformation, something just significant, and you can think it might be like a restaurant that you love going to. There has been an input where somebody's learnt something, and then there's been an output where they've actually brought that out and translated it into the world. They've brought their work into the world, and quite often, it does end up looking like some kind of work as they output that out. So that there is the subject that I've been thinking about, and me even just like sitting here, in this beautiful sunshine right now, is me releasing my water. It's me releasing the inputs that I've had, and which is to encourage you that you already have like a ton of water. I'm sitting by a pool. There's so much water in that pool. And and that's why I love, this idea about filling up. It is important to get the inputs, but it's the counterbalance about actually then, all right, how am I going to output this into the world? How am I going to give away everything that I've already learnt? Yeah. So the other thing is that I want you to think about is, do you need to clean up some of your inputs? So what's been coming in, is it, does it build you up? I love that scripture, which is, what's pure, what's noteworthy, what's true. And so what are you meditating on? What are your inputs? Because you want to get a nice, fresh output, something that will be transformational, that will be interesting, and that other people will receive from. Yeah, so it can take a long time to believe that you actually have a valuable output. I think the danger is that you think, oh, I need to get more input. I need to actually, learn more, or I'm not an expert at this yet, so maybe I'm not prepared. And so that is actually, it's false, because it's going to keep you, never moving beyond giving away what you've currently got. And so, the most powerful people are ones that start, ones that begin and recognize that, they've already got so much, and that they actually just need to release what they've got. And then you can review it. You can look at it and think, gosh, get some feedback, see if, it spoke to people, and then you can move on from. Yeah, so, there's a lot of people that are, they are unoriginal, because, they're trying to be like someone else. And the most fascinating people that you want to learn off is somebody who is standing in their own authority, that they recognize their inputs that they've had, and they're not shy. They have this, their word is true, they are bold, and they're willing to put it out without fear, without being afraid. It's incredibly, it's sexy really, when somebody is, has that level of conviction, that level of being able to recognize, this is what I know, and this is what I'm going to say, and then bringing others into that dynamic of truth, into that dynamic of conviction. And they're the type of leaders that I'm raising up. And so make sure you do join my Creme de la Creme Facebook group. I'll put the link in below. It's a free group where I'm training emerging leaders and business people who want to translate their work into the world. Yeah, it's just so interesting when you decide to step forward and to rise in this way, and actually, own what you know, come forth with your ideas, and even willing to get it wrong. Like, I think it's really, really cool if you can say something and just be, this is what I believe, these are my ideas, and almost to the point of like having someone disagree with you. Gosh, I could do it on here. You could say you love Trump. So, you could say something, what are the inputs? What do you believe? And then coming forward with that to build your own personal leadership. I see so many people who, everybody is a public speaker. I've always heard that. People are like, I don't like public speaking. I'm like, if you go into the supermarket and you say, can I please have that off the shelf, or you asking, you're a public speaker, you're saying it. And it's interesting, our public speaking platform these days is online. And if you are a communicator in any way, and even if that is within your own, let's say, a personal social media, but the people that, I attract are business people, leaders who want to develop their thought leadership. They want to develop online business and grow, and whether it may not be online. Like, I have a friend who has an incredible drinks product business, but they have got a mind after creating something that would create profit and that would better other people.